Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Himanshu. I'm part of MongoDB Solution Architect team. So I've been working with MongoDB for the last 4 years and with almost a decade of experience in cloud and data, working with customers to help them build their solutions on our platform. So to begin with, I just wanted to do a context leveling. So we are seeing today that digital transformation is completely reshaping each and every industry. And we see the pace of transformation is only accelerating. So in the digital economy, all companies have to focus on their competitive advantage and have to make sure they use their most important asset in the best way. And the most important asset is very obviously the data that they have. So if you are a bank in a city today, your competition is not a bank just outside on a different street. You could face challenges from a completely digital first business that could be located halfway across the globe and would be offering mobile first payment. So in this kind of scenario, it's very important for businesses to make sure that their developers are able to focus on what they need to build, what they need to be innovative in the business, and beat the competition. So speed and agility is what everyone requires, and as technology leaders, we are responsible for enabling our developers for the same. So we recently did a survey for 2,000 IT professionals across APAC, and the findings were astounding. So we found that almost 71% of them feel that innovation and building new features is the way to take forward their organization. But still, most of the developers feel that they spend only 27% of their time on innovating new features, on building new features. And even 67% of them feel that working with data is the toughest part of their job. So with these insights, I would just want to present the topic for our discussion today, which is empowering business with true data innovation. And I have my esteemed panelists here today for this discussion. So I would like to begin with Manish. So Manish, welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
And being one of the pioneers in the travel industry, how have you seen the impact of digital transformation on this industry? So please feel free to introduce yourself and then go on to my question.
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
A little louder.
So, Manish, Amin, co-founder, CTO of Yatra. Amit had mentioned earlier, we did not launch in 2010, it was 2006. The data that we've collected since 2006 till now, there's a huge, so there's a huge amount of data that we have at the moment. Challenge with the data is until you don't identify and use and dissect and understand what sort of data you've collected, it's very difficult for you to innovate anything. Okay, what we did was about 4 years ago, we started building our own data science team. Within that, what we did was we identified, and we have a multiple data. We have a data of customers, we have data of our travel agents that buy from us, we have a data of the corporate customers that we also deal with. Plus, I also have a data of a lot of my internal agents, my operation guys, right? Getting the data, and when you have so much of a data, it's also very risky to just make decisions without analyzing the data. There's a lot of junk data also in there. You need to identify what is right and what is wrong. To give you a prime example, in our call center, we figured out that an agent was spending nearly 8 minutes per call. Okay, we looked deep down into it and figured out why is it taking so long, because a normal booking will take you 2 minutes, 3 minutes to make a booking. Why is it so long? We figured out that every time the customer calls, he goes into multiple systems because there are multiple DBs, identifying the customer, getting data from multiple sources, then communicating back to the customer. What we did was we created a data lake. We had multiple systems, and over a period of time, you always keep on adding new systems. The databases are all different. We aggregated everything into a single data lake. Using that, we had all the data available from all systems on a single view. So that definitely helped us to reduce that from 8 minutes now to 4 minutes. So that's the sort of things that we tried doing at Yatra.
Really interesting scenario, Manish, and that's a real way of using data innovatively to transform your business or like make sure that your customer have a better experience. Coming on, moving on to you, Preeti. So with a business as huge as Walmart and the kind of and the kind of scale that Walmart operates in. So how do you manage this kind of scale with all the data that you collect in a retail business? And also, as you have been leading the engineering team, so what is it that developers find it difficult to work with data? If you can throw some light on that.
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. I hope everyone can hear me, right? Yeah. So I'm Preeti Arora. As Himanshu said, I'm heading the engineering for the customer experience team at Walmart Global Tech. And the question is a really great one, Himanshu. At the scale of a company like Walmart, where the needs are on an average process something like 80K orders per minute, that's the kind of scale that we are operating at, right? Having a very effective data strategy is key to be able to really make sure that there's so much of different kinds of data being generated and consumed and stored, right, for e-commerce retailers like Walmart, right? So having a very well thought out, very well defined data strategy is one of the keys. The scale of data being processed, the scale of data being generated, the kind of data, the volume of data, the velocity of data, everything matters basically, right? And on top of it, from a technology perspective, it's also imperative that we have the right tech stack to be able to manage this kind of heavy volumes of data. And to be able to meet these kind of scales, the other aspect also that we have as part of our tech and data strategy overall is how performant our website is, right? How much available it is, how we are taking care of high availability, the scalability aspects, error rates being low, the traffic being so high at all times, right? So all of these things have to go into, and then because with the advent of cloud computing, right, most of this data is actually residing on the cloud. So it's also imperative that we are securing the data at rest, we are securing the data in transit, we are also able to monitor our cloud spending, and we are also optimizing the cloud spending. Now, without doing all of these or missing any of these, right, it can actually be, to answer the second part of your question, it can actually be very painful for the developers that they would then just be focusing their energy on the operational excellence matters, right? But if we are focusing on all of these ingredients, then that is how we are able to boost up developer productivity, to be able to use that data and the insights being generated from it for the purpose of personalizing the experience of our customers and being able to innovate at the same time. That's really the essence of what we
Thanks,
do.
thanks,
Yeah.
Preeti. So few very valid points that you talked about the experience of the customers on the platform, the security, which is again a very broad aspect, and maybe we'll come on to it again later, like talking about how you can maintain the security of your data, what kind of stack and technologies do you use for that. So Mitesh, so just in your industry segment, we see that the data is fast and agile movement. So how do you ensure that you react quickly to the market needs, and how do you ensure that you beat your competition with the new games and features and capabilities?
Yeah. So hey everyone, I'm Mitesh. Here leading Joyride Games, which is like a gaming platform for different casual games, and we are building our own games plus buying other games and integrating in our platform. So as mentioned, gaming is a very demanding and challenging role. The users want quick results, quick output, and they can't wait. They'll jump from, there are different apps, they'll jump from one game to another very quickly. So we have to be very proactive in those terms. What we are serving to the user, is he liking that? So we collect all form of data, like how much currently the users are in our app, how much time they are spending, which screen they are spending the time on, how much time they are playing the game for, is he coming back again to the game. if he's not coming back, like let's send a push notification, at what appropriate time to send him a push notification. All this like comes from the data analytics which we do in-house, and like all this data like we collect from the app, like okay, what is the past behavior? We also use MIML to learn about the past behavior, and like try to predict like will the user churn or will the user be returning back. Is that like to try and predict like the journey of the user in the app, and like all this require like a real-time computation for us, like because if a user is not returning back in our app for half an hour, like one day, like it's very low probability like he'll be coming and playing the game again. So we try to be fast by collecting the data and like taking a decision based on it. That's why like we use AI/ML there, and like try to bring him back in the app, and all this like is being getting enabled by like the tech stack we use, and all the data we collect in the app.
Certainly, completely agree with you, Mitesh. So when we talk about gaming, and certainly a real-time aspect comes to it, because we often have gamers like sitting across different locations and like playing in real time. So the platform certainly has to be reactive in the real time, and like give a good performance there. Thanks for adding that, Mitesh. So moving on to you, Raghu. So while your company works in emerging technologies such as blockchain, analytics, and mobile, so how do you think like data-driven insights can help businesses achieve their business objective?
So mostly,
I don't think so. Can you please help him with that?
am I audible?
Yeah.
So first of all, I'll quickly introduce about myself. I am a small studio, mostly focusing with emerging tech, blockchain, AR, VR, metaverse a lot these days. So over the period of time, the user experience is changing a lot. So as Mitesh mentioned,
So can we have the hand mic?
I think it's gone off. Is it on?
am I audible? So I think hello. Yeah. So mostly in this emerging tech space, there's a lot of things. So one thing that I would like to point out, that real-time data that we are generating is enormous. So let's say we have a product in metaverse, so 50 people in that space and everybody doing certain interactions which are actually not captured in a persistent database, correct? So, and there are lots and lots of insights in that. So that is something where, and there's a lot of problem as well in that space, integrating it with a persistent database, as well as I think Mitesh very fairly mentioned about the real-time thing. So there's a lot of innovation going on there right now, as well as a lot of structures in which how earlier we used to treat data is changing, and obviously the performance metrics becomes very important here, that okay, in real time you cannot deal with the things, you need to render the data or render the experience on immediate basis. So right now we are working on those stuff, and kind of these are the things that needs a lot of time to evolve, and that there's certain spaces. And I'll also like to touch on the second part of the things with I would say the data privacy part, etc. Correct. So a lot of things there is, we are seeing a lot of adoption into the blockchain technology as well. So some of the projects that we have doing is where the source of truth is of high importance, where because in especially in larger enterprises and organizations, there are multiple sources of data, and there are certain that which data is correct. That's department 1 is handling some data, department 2 is. So a lot of, now again the same thing, the problem that we have with the real-time things, then here same with how to integrate that system into the blockchain based ledger into our own existing production infrastructure or data lake or data warehouse, wherever we are handling the things. So the architecture is right now in the evolution phase there, I would say. Because 3 years ago what we used to build has become outdated, correct? And it's changing at a very fast pace, as well as it is highly driven by the user behavior as well. So how user is adopting it, and so that's my submission. So right now, the standard approach towards handling data is changing a lot with these new things, because obviously real-time experience is highly required in the products, and the privacy part is of getting more and more important and more critical for companies. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Raghu. So some of what you said like resonates with some of the interactions that I had with customers. So one of my customer was once talking about, like, while they finish one release of their product, the features used and all already get outdated, because within like a 2-year time frame, technology has evolved so much, and there are newer capabilities and features that they are looking at. So really fast pace change of tech is what we are, is an era that we are living in. So having heard all those aspects related to real-time analytics, security, and like need of a platform. So Rajiv, would you want to add a little more about need for a modern data platform strategy that only helps to process, not only process, but store data in a secure and an accessible way?
Absolutely, Himanshu. I basically manage partner ecosystem for MongoDB across the globe, and come across variety of customers, enterprises who have been taking data very seriously recently. The main objective has been that how to effectively utilize the data, and everybody knows that for business it's very pertinent, as it gives you a lot of advantage, not only within the organization but outside the organization. So the variety, velocity, and the volume of data we have been generating in recent past has been humongous. Now how do we manage that? So we have seen that the developer sees the data part of the architecture very complex. Can we simplify that? Can we improve that? Can we make it more efficient and cost effective? That is where we position MongoDB as a developer data platform. So that means it's not just a simple management system which gives you a multiple functionalities to manage your data, but it gives you a complete experience to innovate with your data. So you not only can create multiple use cases out of the data platform, but also use it in a very simpler and a very cost-effective way going forward. So managing the data, using the data for different innovative features you want to create within your organization, you want to cater different applications. As the panelists said, that we need a lot of real-time analytics, we need real-time insights. We are managing volumes of data, and the critical part of it is how fast we can change, how fast we can innovate and bring new applications with the new data, with the old data. So all these things is provided by what we have been continuously evolving on MongoDB data developer platform. We don't even call it as a database management system, but we directly focus into the innovation which developers are bringing using data into an organization.
Thanks. Thanks, Rajiv, for giving a view of the platform that you are talking about, that you are hosting, and how it can help different customers. So coming back to you, Manish, so like while we were discussing earlier today as well, so how do you feel that the legacy system that exists, like legacy databases and platforms that are there, how do they like impact performance and like keep systems silos and like stop you from scaling in a required scenario?
See, as a period of time when the data is evolved and the size increases, querying that data is also challenging. It slows the system down. You either have to rebuild it or you archive them off. If you archive them off, there are certain limitations where you might need some of the old data. How do you handle those? And if you look from the past and if you look at the present right now, every day the data size is also growing. Not just the data size, but even the response that you get. So to give you an example, when we are searching for an airline flight, right now, any travel agent that searches any flight in India, the travel agent is getting the response. At the same time, I am also getting a response. Okay, for me to store that data, so imagine there's like 300 hits per second of data that I'm storing at every time. For me to utilize that, how do I scale up? There's a limitation of how much query you can do. Okay, so changing and adopting to a newer technology, and Mongo, as we discussed earlier, we've already started shifting towards that side. So that's a huge, huge requirement for any company, especially when you have been operating for such a long period of time.
Yep. So yeah, so I completely agree there, Manish. So like existing systems with larger stacks, and there would be challenges and like the kind of throughputs that businesses require these days. So being able to manage that on legacy would be a challenge.
And sorry, just to add
yes,
a couple
please.
of other things. Also, some of the new developments. For example, the old database that we've been using since 2006, if I have to encrypt that data right now, it's a huge challenge for us. Okay, second thing is from a security point of view, right? Amount of patches and things like that you applied, so it's always good to move on to a newer feature or newer version of the DBs.
Certainly, for newer businesses, it's easier to adopt to the latest technology. For a long-running existing business who have a backlog of data, it becomes challenge, and like we need innovative ways for a platform to be able to deliver that. So I think that brings me to my next question, which is more related to cloud. And Preeti, as you mentioned about it, so how do you think? So how do you think cloud is helping achieve these kind of efficiencies while managing data?
Yeah, I think for any kind of digitalized business these days, be it old tenured business or be it the new emerging businesses, right? Getting onto cloud is becoming more of an imperative for multiple reasons, right? You get a lower total cost of ownership while being on cloud, right? The scalability is really addressed in real time. You only pay for how much you're using, right? With the old technology model of having your systems on-prem, your fixed costs and your capex, right, really used to be like really high, right? Because you will have to invest into certain infrastructure considering some kind of scale, and during the year you may not be entirely using up the entire infrastructure, right? As opposed to cloud is more like you pay for how much as you use. You have high peak periods, your usage will go up and you'll pay more, but you have low peak periods, your usage will be less and you pay less, right? That in turn, of course, helps the businesses to remain profitable. That's one. Second, with cloud computing, this whole aspect of that you will have your systems being deployed and the data being available in multiple availability zones, multiple regions, right? It allows for high availability. Few data centers being down or a region being down does not mean that your customers will not have access to your system. Your system will always be available, but the on-prem model never allowed that, right? On-prem, if the data centers are going down, the website is going to be down, right? The systems are going to be available, which will in turn hit your business, which will in turn hit your bottom line profits as well. Cloud definitely gives that advantage. The other aspect, again, this whole in the technology world, we all talk about vertical scaling and horizontal scaling, right? With the on-prem ecosystem, all that you could do was vertical scaling, just keep on adding more CPU and they'll be coming a dead end. You just cannot add more CPU and that's it really, right? You have to do something fundamentally different. Cloud definitely allows you to scale horizontally. There is auto scaling that is happening, the developers don't have to worry about it. The business owners don't have to worry about it, right? It's all being managed by the cloud service provider. These are all managed services that are taking care of it. So again, the developers can put their more time into innovating, right? Rather than just, handling the availability and scalability issues. There's so many of these, very strong proponents of why, you know, every business has to be on cloud, and I think it's about time, at least from whatever knowledge I have, you know, been seeing around. Every business pretty much is getting on their journey to cloud. Some of the businesses are already, you know, there. Those which have, you know, still being lagging ahead, they are already, you know, having their cloud journeys, you know, being well defined, and they are already, you know, on that path. So it's imperative. And lastly, what I would also add is with Amazon, Google, and Azure, right? Microsoft Azure. I think the plethora of cloud service providers, and these are like all big names, they are really doing everything possible to put the entire, you know, modern technology stack and all the services available on the cloud, and it's the whole developer productivity is also getting boosted, right? Putting monolithic systems on-prem data centers used to take, you know, at least, you know, multi-year journeys. But putting up your website or, you know, your systems on cloud is like within months, you know, businesses are getting rolled out in a digital, you know, digitally enabled manner. So with so many benefits of being on cloud, I think that's really, you know, the way to go. I don't think any business should now just, you know, be thinking twice before getting onto cloud.
Thanks.
It's high time they get on there.
Yeah. Thanks for touching the various aspects of it, including like the cost, and then the manageability, availability, and scalability, and then quick time to market. So that's certainly a value proposition of cloud, where you can quickly innovate and put things and get started. Yes.
Just to add more, like cloud, going on cloud, like enable us to be compliant also, like GDPR compliance. Like Indian government wants now all the data of Indian users to be stored on servers in India. GDPR is like, okay, like you have to be in Europe and like all that. Like imagine me doing business in India for European users. I have to have a server in Europe, and like going on cloud like enables me that. So that's like what I want to add.
Certainly. So being secure is again an important aspect, and like with the new data regulation like that's which exists in different geographies, and even Indian government also bringing things around data regulations and protecting personal data. So anything more you want to add there, Raghu?
Yeah, so for kind of, I would say I'm quite, with the legacy system I cannot think of actually. First of all, I think Preeti was quite polite on that. But with our kind of products that we are building, we cannot even think of like on-prem systems. And there's a lot of, obviously I have just, I would say, one experience where there were multiple organizations, they have to store data in their on-prem systems, and it was due to a SEBI regulation certain that they need to put their data on that. It was a nightmare for all of us, getting the approvals, getting those things, getting everything done, and plus the hardware issues or their downtimes, etc., and their policies of getting those things. So it was quite a nightmare for us, and then we created a process that, okay, these are the things that we want and these are things, and then obviously it took some time for us to build a process, but still to step up the game, there are a lot of features that you want to build which is actually not at all possible. We cannot think of those things. So yeah, that's my very little experience about this thing, and we are completely cloud native products we build.
I think just one more point to add there, especially in the B2C ecosystem, right? Lower latencies, lower response times is, you know, another need, right? No customer has the patience to wait for 10 seconds for their page to load up or something, right? People's attention spans are very short, right? If your page is not going to load up, say, within 1 to 2 seconds, there is every reason they may just shift to another app or another website, right, to get the same, you know, thing. Now, being on cloud actually, you know, really gets you that. Lower latencies and, you know, very low response times is something, it's like it's a natural implication of being on cloud, but being on-prem again had that, you know, issue as well, right? Longer latencies, people would have to just wait for, you know, X seconds, and these days with the millennials being in, you know, taking charge of the entire economy, millennials clearly are short on, for them time is money, and every second matters. So So that's the other reason. If businesses want to be profitable and they want customers to be returning back on their sites, cloud is the way to go.
Certainly, certainly. So coming back to you, Mitesh. So as we talk about like quick response times and all. So for your games that you build and applications, so how do you think you manage the best responses and best customer experience?
So for best hello, yeah. So for best customer experience, as Shweta she mentioned, like it's to be faster response time. The response time has to be in milliseconds, even like seconds. Like if a game is taking a time to load, if like user is just watching the screen for 10 seconds, he may like, okay, let me move on. Like their attention span is so short. Like I was going through another presentation in the discussion today, like where he showed like how the attention span is decreasing from like 6 centuries, and now it is like not even a seconds. Like so, to faster response time is certainly the way to grab your user, and cloud in that sense enable us to get faster response time by like having a server just near you. For me in Bangalore, the response I am getting is from a server in Bangalore which may be few kilometers away from me, rather than getting from US, which is like 10,000 kilometers away from me. And it may travel at a speed of light, but the distance still matters with the seconds, and the seconds count. So getting it on the cloud to have a fast response time is a must today. You can't be living without it.
So certainly every second and even milliseconds counts today. Yeah. And like, so based on the discussion like around cloud and like things, how clouds are helping different businesses and platforms work best way in cloud. So Rajiv, anything to add from your side, like how we can best
absolutely, Himanshu. So at MongoDB, what we do is we have created a SaaS platform, multi-cloud, multi-region, taking care of all the aspects mentioned by the panelists on security, local data governance, everything into aspect. And the strategy is very simple, to make the complex data architecture very simple. Now, within cloud, the experience what we are trying to give to all the developers is same as we provide on-prem. So your data journey from on-prem to cloud becomes very, very seamless. You don't have to change, or you don't have to modify any of your data strategy while you move on to cloud. Not only from one cloud or one on-prem data center to one cloud, you can have a hybrid infrastructure also while you create your data strategy on the cloud. This also gives you a very, very flexible way to manage your data on the cloud, because you need to be multi-cloud, because there will be some areas of the businesses where you don't get a availability zone where your cloud provider is there. So we are truly multi-cloud, multi-region. So you can have a part of your data in one cloud, in one availability zone, while you are into a different place where you want to be closer to your customer by giving them access to the data, lower latencies, more secure, more data governance, and more compliances to the local laws. So in that aspect, you can actually distribute the data the way you want. So these all aspects are brought into a very simplified way to the customer through the MongoDB data platform, and we offer through an Atlas platform, which is multi-cloud, multi-region, and it caters to all the aspects of the data.
Makes sense, Rajiv. So that brings me to the towards the end of the discussion, and few really meaningful points got brought up by the panelists today. So we started talking about importance of data and what it means for a business to drive competitive advantage. We covered aspects of security, availability, scalability, and all. And then we looked at the cloud benefits and what different cloud providers are able to provide, and why it's important to utilize them in the best way. Thanks others for summarizing how the MongoDB, Rajiv for summarizing how the data platform that they have is meaningful and helps these kind of business scenarios that we are looking for. So thanks team, thanks to the panelists for sharing your insights from the business aspects. Thanks a lot for the day. Yes, please.
Thank you.
sorry, let's get you a mic so that everyone can hear your question.
Sure. Hello.
Yes.
My name is Kurt. I'm the CEO of IT services company. So with you from different kind of companies and business leaders in India, I want to understand, since we were talking cloud, important aspect to it is, since everything is moving to cloud, how are we managing the support? Like if the consistency that we get, like we have three big players in the industry, which is Azure, Microsoft Azure, AWS, and GCP, right? So what kind of support do you guys get as like big companies? Because mine is a very small company, and our data is not that time driven that we have to respond in certain time. But with your industry, you guys are actually working on milliseconds of response. So how do you get that support from these big companies?
I think I can talk about that. So in one of my previous organizations, when I was working there, we were taking the actual journey from getting off of on-prem data centers to AWS cloud, right? And the experience, I would say, was a very smooth and enriching experience, in the sense that AWS had engaged their solution architects to work with me, my peers, and my engineering team. And they were really, hand-holding us in terms of defining how the cloud native architecture should look like. And we were actually, deliberating on a week-over-week basis for which systems should we do a simple, plain, vanilla lift and shift kind of a movement. For which systems it's time that we re-architect them into a cloud native model. What are going to be the LOEs looking like, right? What is the kind of engineering effort and investment that we'll have to put around. So because I think these cloud providers, they do have their own, and this is not just with AWS, like in Walmart, we have our partnership with Microsoft Azure, right? And we are also working with Google Cloud. So any of these cloud service providers, they do have their dedicated think tanks of solution architects who would, really partner with your engineering teams basis what kind of needs you have. You're a first timer moving to the cloud, or you're moving from one cloud provider to another, or you are having a hybrid cloud strategy, and hence, you want to figure that out, how this is going to work. They do provide that needed support. In each of my organizations, I think I've had a pretty good experience, dealing with these leading service providers.
And just to add my view on that as well. So you certainly get the support from the providers, and there's a lot of huge partner network in India. So you'll always be able to find different partners with different skill set, which depending on the kind of job you need. So if you need a migration, if you need an application development, you'll find suitable partners to help you there, and that will certainly be along with your journey on moving on to cloud.
My questions were more on the lines of downtime that they have. I'm sure they must be having some sort of downtime which affects your business. How do you deal with it?
So it's more of a quality of service that they offer rather than the support, right? So yeah, different cloud providers have their SLAs, and I think what clouds provide is much more than what people have been able to achieve in their own system, self-managed systems. So
just
certainly
to add to that, in MongoDB Atlas, we offer it as a managed service. Now, apart from the SLA guarantees which all these three cloud providers provide, we have built into our service, but we also create a lot of redundancy at different layers so that we can up that level. And when we come to these customers like yourself, we are able not only to provide them the 5 nines or 6 nines levels of guarantees from the support point of view, but we also have a proactive support strategy to take your data journey on the cloud in a very smooth manner. So if you want to start your journey towards cloud and you are facing some challenging, we have not only the technology to support that, a managed service portfolio to support that, but also a set of experts who can handhold and guide you that how it can move to that level without any proper
Hiccups.
I would say problem, or maybe without any high cost of migrating or handling the data.
So thanks team, thanks for an engaging time. Thanks to all the panelists for that.
Thank you.